Welcome to the Divorce View Talk Show. Hello, it's Joanie Winberg, certified human behavior consultant and divorce mentor. I'm thrilled to be doing this show together with my co-host, Rosalind Sedacca. Hello, Roz.
Hi, Joanie. Pleasure to be here, and I'm excited to be part of the show today. I'm Rosalind Sedacca, the voice of child-centered divorce, the founder of the Child-Centered Divorce Network, and I'm a divorce and parenting coach. Joanie, why don't you introduce our special guest?
Absolutely, I'm excited. Today we have an attorney with us today who's actually been practicing law for a long time, and his name is Matt Saucy. He's from Texas, and Matt, I'm just thrilled to have you here. Welcome.
Hi, Joanie. How are you?
Fine, thanks. And take a second. I also, just to let people know of the new project that you have that's going to be launched June of this year.
Well, June 1st, we're launching kidsfirstparentsecond.org. My wife Becky and I are very proud of this project. What we've done is we've created resources to help kids cope with divorce. So in the Kids First website, we have resources. We have a path to courage. We have courage badges. We have different things that the kids can interact with their parents so they understand that they're not lost in the divorce process, that they matter. And as our slogan says, kids come first.
I love it. I love it. Both Roz and I, our passion is helping parents to get along for the sake of the kids, to be as cooperative as they possibly can through after divorce as far as co-parenting. But we all know that it's such an emotional roller coaster ride. The emotions are raw, and it is difficult. And have you been divorced yourself, Matt, at all? Or?
I've been divorced myself years ago, so I totally understand.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when people hear about cooperative parenting, they hear about the actresses and actors on this, and they're going to an island on vacation, and everyone's saying, I can't do that. That's not a possibility. And I agree. And when we're talking about cooperative parenting, that's not what we're talking about at all. We're talking about implementing cooperative parenting structure in a divorced family so people can interact and kids don't feel shut out. Kids feel like they're part of their dad's life and part of their mom's life. We got to understand what kids are worried about. Kids in divorce are worried about, I'm going to lose my mom or I'm going to lose their dad. Kids go through a lot of emotional problems after divorce. We need to look at that. We need to focus that. That needs to be a priority.
Roz, we've probably all been through this where we sometimes get caught up in it and we tend to forget that the kids are feeling a lot too.
The kids are feeling tremendous amounts of confusion, guilt, shame, blame, anxiety, and they're also very unhappy and angry at one or both parents about the situations. And we have to know our kids and understand our kids so we can best be there for them in keeping the connection with them. But I love the fact that Matt has a program that he's launching like this because unfortunately too many divorce attorneys are only focused on the short-term reality of the divorce, and as we all know, co-parenting just begins after the divorce.
Yes.
And we need the tools and the resources and the support system to keep us in place so that we can be co-parenting and learn how to co-parent in the best possible way. So tell us some of the things that you're going to be sharing with people on your program, Matt.
Well, we have a two-prong approach. One is for the parents, and we've written a couple books for the parents regarding cooperative parenting strategies. I understand that most of these parents are not going to be able to talk to each other after the divorce, nor do I expect them to. I want them to be able to share information with one another. We refer people out to various resources to get that done, one of which is Family Wizard. That way, they don't necessarily have to talk to each other. They can simply send email and share information on the Family Wizard software program. Works wonders.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing we're creating is an A to Z guide to help people understand how to cooperate with one another, how to interact. In other words, we can avoid useless conflicts. We can learn to be flexible. We can learn to choose our words wisely. All these things go into learning how to deal with an ex. Why am I promoting this? After 21 years of practice, my phones will not stop ringing. They start ringing at 7:30 and they stop ringing around 9:30 at night. Why? Because people don't know how to communicate with each other. That is why we built the resources for the parents. The other thing that I'm proud of that we did last year, we created a Flipboard magazine. And the Flipboard magazine is called Cooperative Parenting. If you have the app, you just simply put in my name, Matt Saucy. We put in 150 articles on divorce and the effects of kids and divorce. So we want to share that with the public. Mm-hmm. The other thing we did, we created a Facebook, so you're an apple and you married an orange. And there we have brief discussions on how you can interact with your ex. So I think that's good, and it's good for the parents, and it's light. You know, it's not all serious and bad stuff.
You got to have fun. In fact,
you got to have fun.
You have to. And in fact, being a human behaviors consultant for the last 10 years, we have a saying where opposites attract and then opposites attack. And so this is very common, I would say, after divorce. So I love the angle you're coming from, Matt, because that's really the struggle. And of course, if
we were going to use coconuts and pineapples, but then we started to offend people. And then we weren't going to go through and use nuts because, you know, nuts is a whole other kind of topic. I'm not even going to go there. We're just dealing with normal fruits.
I like apples and oranges.
We like to have fun.
Yeah, that's pretty safe.
And
well,
then,
that's
of course,
why
we have for the kids.
Yeah.
And right behind me is the cover of our Mommy Daddy Troubles. It's a book we wrote. It's going to be printed in print just in a couple weeks and available for distribution on our website. And basically what it is to let kids know they're not the reason why their parents got divorced. Mommy and Daddy just couldn't get along. One's an apple, one's an orange. They come from two different things. So kids understand that. Kids also understand this from Mommy and Daddy Troubles. It's Mommy and Daddy's job to work together so kids don't have problems. And so what we're doing is we're understanding that Mommy and Daddy live separately. You know, Mommy and Daddy aren't going to be spending lunches and dinners and walks on the beach together, but they can talk. And they can talk and focus on their kids' needs.
Be the adult as much
They can
as
be the
possible.
adult. Right.
You break it down into 3 types of parenting after divorce, or co-parenting after divorce. Unfortunately, the first one, the conflict.
There are 3 in my opinion. The conflict keeps me fed. The conflict is the one where we're constantly in court. The conflict is one parent want to make sure that they win and they get what they want in court. And conflict can get to such a point where all they're trying to do is alienate one parent from the kid by turning all sorts of allegations, everything under the sun you can possibly do to distance the child from the other parent. So that's what we call the worst type of parenting. That's what we call child abuse. That's what we call it should be against the law. But it is one of the things that happens in our court system today. It's not the majority of the cases. It's clearly the minority of the cases. But it's something that we want to avoid for our families. The reason why we talk about that is we talk about the next structure, which is parallel parenting, which is pretty much if you follow a court order, that's what you're going to do. You're going to get a set of orders. You're going to have rules and regulations. Mom's going to have her set. Dad's going to have his set. And everybody lives in separate worlds. Problem is it doesn't work. Kids get older. Kids develop. Kids are going to need interaction from mom and dad. So what happens? If I simply follow the rules that are written, the only way I'm going to be able to resolve the child's change and circumstance, I have to go back to court. Well, when I go back to court, what am I resorting to? Conflict parenting. So what I see with these people, a lot of people get themselves in parallel parenting situations, and they shift slowly into the conflict parenting. Why? Because they never learn how to talk with each other. And that's why we talk about cooperative parenting. Less to have a pure cooperative parenting environment because most of these people can't do that. But they can take cooperative parenting techniques, incorporate them in a parallel parenting structure, and be there for the benefit benefit of these kids, which is what we want.
I love it.
21 years of practice shows that I'm right. 21 years of practice has told me I can go into a room and I can cause a fight between two people, or I can get their case resolved by helping them communicate. There's really two ways to go here. And I really think for the parents and the kids, we got to get them to a better place.
Roz, just like you said, Matt is so refreshing.
Absolutely. Yes.
I don't feel refreshed. I've been doing this for 21 years.
I know, but we both connect with attorneys a lot, and I get along with attorneys great, but no one's ever been so clear and so helpful and supportive for parents after divorce.
Getting this message out, which is really important. I want to emphasize what Matt said about the fact that cooperative parenting, co-parenting, is a learned trait. There are skills you could learn and master. We're not born knowing how to do that. This is a challenging situation. But we can learn how to do that because we're motivated because it's best for our kids. Our kids don't want to be the cops between us. They don't want to be the spies. They don't want to be the little parents who are parenting us. They want us to be the mature adults we're supposed to be. And when we learn how to communicate more effectively, that's what we can do. So all the skills that Matt's teaching in this program and that the resources at the Child Centered Divorce Network, they're all there to help parents learn step by step. I just wanted to bring up one other thing. I'm so glad you brought up the parenting, online parenting scheduling tools and resources that are out there. There's another one that I think is excellent, which is called coparentplanner.com. But they all provide resources to help you schedule and email in a non-conflict way so that all the details are there and you don't have to be having those interactions that get so messy between parents. It's a wonderful tool that every divorced parent should utilize because it just reduces problems and it shows you that there are more effective ways of staying on top of things and eliminating the miscommunication problems.
Absolutely. And just think about it. It goes back even further. Before we get married or while we're married, we're never really taught to understand each other. And that's what I love to do, is to help people understand why you do what you do and why I do what I do, and know that we're different, we're unique, we have different ways of interpreting information, we have different ways of being motivated or hot buttons, and this is the missing link that I see that people don't really understand. When I'm doing corporate training, I mean, I hear all the time people say, doesn't everybody think like I do? Mm-hmm. That's where people get confused and think that their point of view is not only the way that people think, but they think of it as the right way. So, Matt, that's probably part of the core of people learning to communicate, would you say?
Oh, I agree. You know, when we have young parents, my favorite thing to do is to have them shake hands. Because I said that's the first time you ever did that. You never became friends. You were googly eyes. So I said, enough with the googly eyes. It's time to become friends. We have a kid, and we got to figure this out. Their parents love me for it. The young parents look at me like I'm crazy, but I get my point across. They never were able to actually talk to each other. They went to the parties, they listened to the loud music, they had their fun. Now they have a responsibility. Totally understand. Can I say one thing?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
The one message I have for these parents is stop, look, and listen. A lot of these people, when they come to the office, act on pure emotion. Joanie, are you there?
I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, didn't see you for a second. They come to the office and they haven't quite thought through what they want. All they know is they want to hurt their ex. All they know is they want what they want, and who knows what that means. What I ask for a lot of these people, talk to each other about what you want to do with your kids. It's your family. it's not the lawyer's family, it's not the court's family. Talk to them. If you're having trouble talking to your spouse, talk to a psychologist, talk to a family therapist. A lot of these people are here to give resources so people can work out their differences and work out a parenting plan that takes care of their kids. Because going to the courthouse, it's not a fun place.
Oh, it's not. And people think it's magic when they go to court that the judge is going to solve all the issues, and it's like black and white. That's it.
Absolutely. And it's not. And unfortunately what happens is the little bit of trust and the little bit of ability they had to communicate with each other before they walked into the courtroom is gone, because my job is to rip the other party apart. And the other lawyer's job is to do the same.
But that's
so
if
how
you're,
can you how can you have a relationship after that?
Absolutely.
How can you trust somebody?
And that's if you're a litigator. You're not talking about a mediator or collaborative law attorney.
Right.
You're talking
You
about
got to
litigator.
remember my role: 20 years, high conflict, divorce, custody, you name it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that was going to be my other point on the stop part. If you want to fight over something, fight over a lamp. We've fought over lamps a lot of times. Fight over a dog. Fight over a couch. Don't fight over a kid.
I know.
You know what I mean?
I know.
And people always want to fight. They always want to find something. I got a lamp in the house. I'll give it to them if that avoids conflict over a kid.
Absolutely.
The other thing see what I'm saying? The other thing I wanted to talk about is for parents I basically had stop, look, and listen. And what I want them to look at, there are so many available programs right now online that kids can interact with their parents even when they're not at their parents' home.
Right.
There's just a million things. There's Skype. There's games they can play on Skype. There's Xbox, where they can interact with their parents and they can play games with their parents. We even have a program called Chatty Kids, and it's something that's based out of Australia. And what it is, they allow parents and kids to interact when they're not with each other, and they get to read books with one another. And I think these are wonderful programs that parents need to look at so they can interact. And obviously, by interacting, what do? We reduce tension. Mm-hmm. And we avoid people going back to court because they don't think they're an important part of their kid's life. Mm.
Like I said earlier, the emotions are so raw, and it just can easily snowball with a knee-jerk reaction of something said or taken personally that's really wasn't meant to be. I mean, really at that time we're just trying to sort things out ourselves. It's a whole new lifestyle. But if we can somehow, and I know, Roz, you and I talked about this before, if we can somehow pull ourselves together for the sake of our kids, and if you're having emotional thoughts or feelings or whatever, cry yourself to sleep later, but if you can somehow pull yourself together for the sake of the kids, knowing that it really doesn't also matter what age. I'm hearing that, we tend to think how little kids, how it affects them, but it's just as tough on older kids.
Oh, definitely. It's as a matter of fact, the older the kids are, the more dramatic the consequences are for them, because they very often saw life before the tension started or spent more years during having the tension and the conflict in the home, and they're more opinionated about taking sides and blame and all the rest of it, and they can act out in more dramatic ways, so you get more bullying and addiction problems and promiscuity and all the things that we don't want to see our kids doing. It's just very tempting, because if they're not communicating and they're not feeling heard, they're not feeling acknowledged, and they're angry at one or both parents, then it's so easy for peer groups and gangs and other things to take their attention away and steer them down a very destructive path. That's why it's essential for parents to communicate with one another about our kids whom we love, and to be looking for signs and symptoms. If things start changing from the behavior before the divorce, you have to nip that in the bud with the professional to help you, and not just say, oh, they'll outgrow this or they'll get over the divorce, because the wounds of the divorce grow deeper and deeper the longer the parents are unconsciously inflicting those wounds. And that, I'm sure, is what all three of us are seeing too often.
Matt, you've seen probably the young and as well as the older children that you've gone through. In fact, didn't you say you mentioned that you had one time represented kids?
Yes, my job not only is to be a divorce attorney, custody attorney, but sometimes I'm an amicus. So my job is to make sure the best interests of the kids are taken care of. One time in open court, I stopped the proceedings and I said, anytime these parents want to act as parents and litigators, let me know.
Good
because
for you.
right now they're wasting my time.
Yeah.
If they want to act as parents, I'm willing to help their child. If they're willing to act as litigants, hey, let's go to court. That's why the judge is here. But we have some kids with severe emotional trauma. We need to take care of that. Mm-hmm. Can I say one other thing, Joanie?
Absolutely.
With respect to kids, kids will adjust to divorce. They'll be fine. The way they're able to adjust depends on their parents' ability to deal with conflict.
Yes.
If their parents can't deal with conflict, these kids are going to suffer short-term problems. They're going to suffer long-term problems. And the message to parents is this: if you want to maintain a healthy relationship with your kids, stop fighting with your ex. Figure out some way to broker some sort of peace, some sort of communication. Because if all your kids do is see you constantly fighting with one another, what message are you giving to your child? And I just see from all the literature I'm seeing, from everything I'm seeing as a divorce litigator, it's clear. It's clear that there needs to be an instruction to the parents. If they're going to keep fighting, they're going to hurt their kids. Now, I've never met a parent who said they love their kids and will do everything for them. Every parent that I met has said that. So the message has to be stop fighting, because we don't need that. The kids don't need that. We need to be directing all our resources to getting these kids out of this hopelessness feeling, out of this depressed state that they're in, and get on with life. There's more to life than just simply going through divorce. Trust me.
Or trying to get even, or
that's what I have to say.
That type of thing. I know after my divorce and my kids were 12 and 9 at the time, my thought was, how can I be the best I can be to help them grow up to be healthy and happy adults, because they're not going to be 12 and 9 forever. So who's the role model here, and help them grow up to be happy? And I wanted them to have healthy marriages and relationships. But if all they see is, bitterness, being vindictive, that type of thing, angry, that's not a role model at all. So, Matt, I was going to make sure that everyone knew or does know your website to go to for your new book as well as your new program.
Okay, it's kidsfirstparentsecond.org. If you go to my Google Plus page, we have it all set.
Okay, I think Matt might have.
That's what it's called, and we're actually expecting it to be online this Friday. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. We're having a little bit techie difficulty, and that's, just like other online programs. Sometimes the voices can freeze, the images can freeze, but that's part of the process here. We're actually freezing up here in Boston. We're back in April weather, so maybe everything's
really
not functioning up here. We're only like 52 degrees.
The website's Kids First, Parents Second. That's the name of the website.
.org, right?
.org. Yes, thank you.
Matt, any last minute advice or message you'd like to give to parents when co-parenting after divorce?
I think we talked about stop. We talked about look. I want to talk about listen just briefly. Listen to what your kids are saying. Are they saying, I want to talk to my dad? Get the dad on the phone. If they want to talk to mom, get mom on the phone. Learn to be flexible. Learn to also be objective. How can you resolve this? Are you creating conflict? What can you do to make the situation better? If that means being the better person, the bigger person, do it. Your kids will love you for it.
Great advice. Great advice. Roz, any last-minute thoughts here?
Well, I think we could sum it up with that one question that seems to say it all. Ask yourself, do I love my kids more than I hate my ex? And if you think about that, it'll put you on the right track to doing the things that Matt's been talking about. Great advice, Matt.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Roz, and thanks, Matt, and also to our listeners. To watch this video as much or many times as you'd like, go to divorceview.com. Also, we have many different programs there to support you during and after divorce. And remember that Roz and I are here every week on Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And while you're at divorceview.com, there's an email there. Email us. Let us know topics or any particular concerns that you have that you'd like us to discuss on the show. We'll be happy to do that for you. So in the meantime, have a great week and know that there is life after divorce. And thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.